All right, how's it going, everybody? This is the Awesemo.com NHL DFS Strategy Show. Just a two-gamer for today, so we'll go into what happened over the weekend. Hopefully, you guys had some success. If not, we do have a slate today. We'll have a pretty good week of streams, hopefully. Pretty good schedule after today, but per usual, just a small slate on these Mondays. Not necessarily sure why, but the NHL likes to not have big slates on Wednesdays and Mondays, especially, and most Fridays, to be honest, as well. I don't worry. I gave back a bunch of money earlier in the week last week, so the weekend did save me from having kind of a miserable week. Yes, so we do have some names on this slate at the very least. Hopefully, one of these games is on national TV. Now that I'm thinking of it. Also, it's Bachelor night, so I'm sure you guys will be pumped up to, watch that. And maybe not. Maybe some of you will though. But kind of a turbo slate we've got for tonight. Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports is the sponsor. One of the most trusted names in fantasy sports is Yahoo. Big NBA contest for today. Nice $8 price point, 100 max. This is a pretty good tournament. I hope they have stuff like this for baseball once that comes around. I know NBA is a little bit bigger than baseball, but you don't see a lot of sharks like Petty Theft and Awesemo in playing over on Yahoo. Actually, I don't think Petty plays over on Yahoo. I see him in the chat, but you've still got a chance to make some money over here, even if you want to dip your toe into MME. I guess there's $10 10 max contests all over the place over on Yahoo and stuff like that. See, there you go. He doesn't play over on Yahoo, so just another shark not in the ecosystem over there. Already got lower management fees, so tons of reasons to get over there and play. Use promo code Awesemo to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points when you join on your initial deposit, and that essentially is just free cash to play DFS on Yahoo when you do. We do have NHL projections for free today, so if you don't have a membership, do not worry. You can use our projections for free today. This is a model that Alex and I came up with, mostly Alex, and then I update it and make sure everything's looking good throughout the season while he focuses on other stuff. Some good names up here at the top today. McKinnon, we've got Yossi, Draisaitl, McDavid. It'll be a good one, I think, as far as two gamers go. I think tonight, I'm really liking the way my lineups look for the 3-2-1 build tonight, and maybe some onslaughts. Obviously, Colorado is going to be huge. I wish the slate was a little bit spread out. I wish there was a West Coast game and then an early game, because then you could take advantage of some potential late swaps. Been working on my late swap game for NHL. I haven't figured out a great way to do it with the late swap optimizer because it's hard with the stacks. But I do want to get better at that. Just late swapping in general. I think the more information you have, you know more information once the slate starts, right? So there's no reason you shouldn't take advantage of that in the later games. But anyways, cheat sheets, we do have these updated for today since this morning. Those are done by myself pretty early in the morning. Look at that beautiful face, Connor McDavid. Nice to have him back. And let's look at what we had over the weekend. It looks like FC had some issues with the DK tournaments yesterday, getting them up on lineup study. I don't see the main slate. They just have Showdown, but they do have FanDuel. Pretty familiar name here. Testosterone got second place, first place with 239.2. I don't know how to say that, but anyways, this user fired away with Dubois, Pedersen, JT Miller. It looked like Vancouver was just going to be the absolute nuts yesterday. I mean, 2 quick goals. So the power play stack was looking really good with Horvat and Pedersen and JT Miller. Toffoli was a little bit of a dud, but you could still do some damage with him in your lineup, especially if you stacked his line mates. Pettersson was massive. JT Miller was massive. Kevin Fiala is playing about as well as anyone right now, and 27.4 points on DK last night. Just a power play stack, it looks like here, with Fiala, Parisi, Spurgeon, or maybe just a 4-man without a ton of restrictions. Cal Peterson, 41.6, was one of the keys here. Ovi one-off. Did he have a hat trick, or did he just had the 3-point bonus? Okay. No hat trick. What a scrub. Yeah, I guess he just dominates the Wild, the announcers were talking about. And then he scores 2 quick goals in the first period. So there was your narrative. Great lineup here. I mean, can't complain about anything there. All very good plays. Ovi one-off, Dubois one-off. I kind of liked both of those last night. I was doing more 3-3 builds, but I understand how you get to that for sure. And then Cal Peterson, goalies in bad spots sometimes work out. It feels like more often than not they work out, especially when it's against you or when someone's chasing you. So, yeah, I don't know. Is there really even that bad of a spot for goalie in NHL DFS? Like, maybe not bad spots. There's just bad pricing. So, like, you get the home favorite who's 8,500. Yeah, you don't want to play that guy too often on a smaller slate because it's not very likely they're going to be the highest scoring player. But like these guys, as long as you don't get pulled, like if you're on the road, let's say you're even at home tonight, if it's Bernier, like you can't even say that that's a bad play just based on the amount of volume that goalie's going to see, expected volume. It doesn't always work out, but just bad goalie performances and good ones underperforming. Yeah, that's definitely the case sometimes. So hockey can be a really frustrating DFS sport. Dollar Bill. Haven't seen Dollar Bill smash in NHL too much lately. Maybe he hasn't been playing. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe he has been smashing and I just haven't noticed. But he was destroying for a stretch there. I remember I just kept looking up at him at the leaderboard, and he was always up at the top. So, I think he plays a ton of other sports, though. Some Bernier. Give me some Bernier. Yeah, yikes. Okay. It appears that FC had issues with this as well. Let's see here. This was Saturday, right? I'm not making things up. I thought they had these loaded. Anyways, I could probably go back and find this if we need to. If we could just show the DraftKings page if you guys want to see it. But let's go to here. This was the Saturday slate. B Heels 1-5-2 took it down over on FanDuel. It appears 4-4 was the play. Dano, Tatar, Gallagher, Petrie, nice 4-man there. All performed very well. Nugent Hopkins, Chason, Draisaitl, Mike Smith, correlated goalie. You guys know I like that kind of lineup. So maybe you should have played over on FanDuel. I think my DraftKings lineup that did pretty well on Saturday was basically this exact same lineup and not Fleury. I want to say I did have Smith. I know I had Montreal 1 and Edmonton 1. And then I can't remember who my defensemen were, but it worked out pretty well for me. It looked like it worked out on FanDuel as well. So nice job there by B Heels. 1-5-2 dollar bill up there again. Got to get this win. Only 14 lineups. What is he doing? Come on. This guy won like 100K earlier in the season playing NHL. He can afford 150 here. Maybe he was hand building. Nugent Hopkins, Chason, Draisaitl. So just the same sort of lineup. Uncorrelated goalie here, though. Petrie. So it was just a 2v2 away. Hayden Fleury at 1% ownership, scoring 20, compared to Bear's 4.8 is going to that's going to hurt, right? But was on the right stuff with 14 lineups. So that's impressive. If you guys could drop a like, that would be very much appreciated. As always, you know the spiel helps us continue to do this kind of stuff for free, and you guys are always good about that. So also, if you could go rate and review us over on iTunes, that would be even more helpful, actually. That I would prefer you guys give us a rating and a review, hopefully a 5-star rating if you like our stuff. Tell us something you like, and we're trying to build up the podcasting part of our website, because some people like to listen on podcasts, so we want to not discriminate against any of our viewers, and we're making sure we get all these shows that have a little bit of a span up onto iTunes, so you guys can listen however you'd like. So if you could give us a rating and review, tell us what you like, tell us who your favorite people are, I don't know, whatever you want to do in the review, that would be fantastic. All right, we'll talk about these 2 games, and then it'll be a pretty short show, as it usually is when we've got just 2 games. I don't want to waste anybody's time or make the show longer just for the sake of making the show longer. Up on the screen, we do have the NHL Awesemo lineups page. I usually share the link in here. I've kind of gotten away from doing it, but here's what we got: nhl.lineups.awesemo.com. You can use this as a lineups page. This is a free page. We'll have days where we do make it the premium part of it free, which the premium part will have rankings here. You'll get some feedback on your lineups once you complete them with a GPA. And for the NBA one, it's really cool. Like, we've got contrarian rankings. I think we have that for NFL too. So if you don't use FC, do not fret, because we do have a tool for hand building. If you want to build 5-10 lineups, this is a really awesome tool to use and kind of get everything on one page. Avs, Red Wings, 3.8 implied total for the Avs, 2.1 for the Red Wings. Michael Hutchinson going up against Jonathan Bernier. Quite a star-studded goalie matchup here. And big news for Detroit is that yesterday, I did confirm this. I didn't catch this earlier today, but I did see that they did skate like this yesterday. Larkin, Bertuzzi, and Mantha, and so that raises my eyebrows a little bit. I'm always in on that line. At the right ownership, right? I'm in on every team, basically, at the right ownership. It feels like we haven't had a ton of spots this year with bad chalk. So I'm perfectly fine playing chalk. As you guys know, I love using this new top stack tool. I've got it up on the other screen. I don't want to give away too much, got to cater somewhat to the premium subs, but it looks like ownership is pretty efficient on the stacks tonight. Now, some people won't be stacking very much. Like, we've seen lineups with all 4 teams represented winning on these 2-game slates, but I think ownership is looking pretty good if you just look at the top stack tool. So that's why I like the 3-2-1. I think I can get some funky builds, and there might be a couple teams that I'm looking at as a little underrepresented. So, or a couple lines, I should say, not a couple teams. On a team level, it looks pretty good. But this is what we got in this game. Larkin, Mantha, and Bertuzzi. Who the F is Logan O'Connor? That's a great question. Not really someone that I'm looking to play. But we're probably going to see the Larkin line spend a ton of time against McKinnon and Landeskog. Nemesnikov, he's up on the top line. For the Avs, it's Niato, Comfort, and Donskoy. And then kind of a pretty cool third line here, I think, with some potential going up against the Detroit depth. Nishushkin, Tyson Jost, and Martin Kott. I believe that's how you say that. 4 letters, but I'll still find a way to mispronounce these guys' names if there's one thing we know about this stream. The Larkin line looks like the obvious possibility for the Detroit side. I thought I was going to get to a ton of them. I don't think, Colorado at home or Colorado on the road, I should say, is that scary of a matchup. The price looks good for Detroit 1, especially with Bertuzzi down to 3,800. I think the ownership actually looks okay for them as well. I just thought I was going to get a ton of them when I kind of filtered through some of these lineups. They look popular. They're probably the second most popular stack on the slate behind Colorado 1. So maybe you just can't get a huge edge in playing them. But the price looks great. I thought they were a little bit better defensively. You look at the numbers for the season. They're at like 2.5 expected goals against per 60. For Detroit, that's about as good as it gets. But maybe it's just because they can't play with good defensemen or what's going on. I just thought they were much better defensively, like at least above average. But it hasn't been the case. So it's always nice to go and look back at and see these numbers, refresh your memory on some of these lines. I know when you play every day, it's easy to just kind of know who's who and who's good and who's bad. But thought they were a little bit better. But McKinnon, Landeskog, Nemesnikov, a really good stack. You get a $3,400 guy skating with McKinnon and Landeskog. It's not the best matchup as far as Detroit goes. I think on a larger slate, I'm probably not getting to where the field's at on the McKinnon line. But on a 2-gamer, McKinnon specifically is going to be in just a ton of my lineups. I don't have any issue at all one-offing him. I think even if Colorado disappoints, there's a pretty good chance he gets you a point. He can get you the 5-shot bonus. Detroit gives up a ton of shots, scoring chances, all that. He's probably going to score a goal. He's just an amazing play in all formats. So someone mentioned the stars and scrubs. I kind of like going stars and scrubs tonight, and so I'm going to have a ton of McKinnon, Landeskog, Nemesnikov. He will be the guy I think I leave off a little bit. I think there's a chance he gets bumped off that line. He's not on the power play with them, and he's 3,400, so maybe people will just stack them up. That being said, so I have the least Nemesnikov of that trio of the top line. I'm looking at closer to 75% McKinnon and then probably under 50% Nemesnikov. So I think I'm still over the field on these guys. But I think that's the guy you leave off because of the value. That's going to get you a different lineup construction. Maybe you just go with a different guy in his price range and hope he disappoints, he kind of gets left out. So if these guys do smash, you don't have a $3,400 dud. So that's something I'm toying with tonight. But Colorado 1, very likely going to be my ice stone stack on the slate, unless ownership, unless we get boosted, like McKinnon gets boosted a bunch more. I don't think there's a way that they're not the top stack for me. So that's perfectly fine. I'm fine playing chalk. I think I can get different elsewhere. And I think a way to get different is by onslaughting. I don't think on short slates people use this enough. Play 4, 5, 6 forwards from the same team on DK. And that's why I prefer the DK style compared to FanDuel. I like this third line for Colorado. I'm fine with the second line too, but someone mentioned all 3 skaters on the Colorado third line are on the power play. It is the second unit, but Jost is on the top unit, but the other 2 guys are on the second unit. So maybe some chances for some secondary power play time against the Detroit team that takes a lot of penalties. Seems like a pretty wise move to go with a couple skaters from the top line, a couple skaters from either the second or third line, and you're just hoping that Colorado scores 4 or 5 goals, which is decently likely, and you capture goals from multiple lines, which a lot of people will not do. A lot of people will just pick and choose the best plays from each team, and that's fine. But we're trying to win, right? We're trying to compete with as few people as possible if we're right. And I think the onslaught makes for a really good play on the Colorado side. So it looks something like this. I don't know. Take your pick. Avalanche, Tyson Jost. Fill it in from there. You still got a ton of salary to work with. You can still jam in a Draisaitl or McDavid or Philip Forsberg or Yossi if you want. There's a ton of ways to go. And that's especially something I like to do when teams have been switching up their lines a lot. So you're just kind of playing the best plays. McKinnon, Landeskog, I don't know. Comfer and Jost have been playing pretty well. They're split up now. But that's why I like capturing a ton of forwards from the same team when you've got a spot that looks really tasty like this one. Cale Makar is 5,700. He is not my highest owned defenseman, but he's right there. Him and Roman Josi. I'm finding it pretty easy to fit in those guys. Maybe not as much together. I think if you fit in those guys together very often, unless you're losing a third defenseman, you might force yourself onto a similar lineup construction that you don't necessarily want to do on a 2-game slate because you're more likely to dupe. And it's hard enough to win on a 2-game slate. You'd rather not try to share it with 10 other people. I think you guys can hear that. Actually, let me turn my sleep mode on so you guys can stop hearing that clicking from Slack. I'm a Yahoo and fantasy draft user. Is it more beneficial to use FanDuel or DK with the lineup builder? I'd probably use DK. I think, especially for fantasy draft. If you're making lineups for fantasy draft and you want to see what it looks like, DK is basically the same pricing, just half of what fantasy draft is for the most part. So I think it's pretty much the exact same scoring, but fantasy draft did not adopt the bonuses this season. So we've got a couple options on the Colorado side for lines. On the blue line, Cale Makar, I like what Mac Motivation said. I think that's also a good way to put it. I kind of don't mind playing Graves for 5K. He's been a little bit active. He's in the same price range as a much chalkier player on the same team. Probably going to play around 20 minutes. He's on the same pairing as him. I'm not saying you need to play Makar and Graves together, but if you just look at them, their ownerships are not going to be similar, but they don't project like that far off of each other. So it's a suboptimal play, quote unquote. But if you're doing a 1v1 and you think you got a chalky lineup, throw on Graves instead of Cale Makar. And just if you get that spot right, you're like Makar is not 10 times as likely to outscore Graves. So if you just put it like that, that would be something I'm going to be looking to do on a chunk of my lineups, even though I'm going to have a ton of Makar. Sam Girard actually grades out okay for us. He's on the second power play unit. He's 4K. He's been scoring points recently, and that's been getting his price to go up a little bit. But his role hasn't really changed. He's been on the second power play. Like, he's a good value play. I'm not sure he's a great play if he's going to be 15% owned, even on a 2-game slate. So I get it with him. I'm going to try to be below what we have for Girard, or if you're going 3-3, and you're leaving salary on the table, I suppose. But like EJ is right there at 4,600 as well. There's another option. On the wing side, Hronek played actually, let me get this. Hronek played, let me see here. I want to say it was like 28 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that last game. 27 minutes, so I was overshooting it a little bit. He played 27 minutes last game. It wasn't like a phenomenal game for him, but anyone that's going to play that much at 4,500, especially if he's on the top power play with Detroit 1, seems like a pretty good spot. I know Hronek doesn't have the greatest peripherals or anything like that, but he's like half of what we have Makar owned at. And I know the implied total is about half. But I do like Kronik. And then I think I mentioned him in the cheat sheets. I wonder if it's Alex Biega night. 2,500. He's a guy who he doesn't have these crazy individual Corsi numbers as much this season. It's probably because he's playing a little bit more, and he's just not that good of a player. But if he's going to play around 20 minutes, he still does attempt a bunch of shots. I don't know if they're going to use the Nemeth-Biega pairing up against Colorado 1, but if they were, you might even see a little bump in Biega's expected minutes. But that's just more of a flyer. I listed him because there's not a lot of great pure punts tonight, and Biega is one guy that I will be punting with a little bit tonight. And I know, like, this isn't even a joke, but you guys love Biega in chat. Nolan loves Biega, so he's been kind of a joke that we constantly make, but pretty serious about playing some tonight. I think I'll probably have double digits of Alex Biega tonight. If the slate started right now, I'd have 13%, which is quite a bit higher than what we have for the field. Let's go to the other game on tonight's slate. The last game. Oilers, Predators, 2.9 implied total for the Oilers, 3.2 for the Preds. Mike Smith and Pekka Rinne are your goalies. I don't know what Edmonton's actually going to do with their lines once they start the game. Meaning McDavid's line. They're going to keep Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, Yamamoto together. I would have to think so. That line's been playing extremely well. Edmonton's having a lot of success just winning games. Now, I'm not sure if Athanasiou... I don't think Athanasiou is going to stick on this third line. And he's just better. He's a way, way better player than Archibald. And I don't know that a ton of people are going to have McDavid with Athanasiou together tonight. So that's something right off the bat that I'm interested in. I think there's a pretty good chance they see half the game of ice time together, could be more. In worst case scenario, you're basically playing McDavid and then Athanasiou. McDavid's not he's not my favorite one-off. I'd rather one-off McKinnon. But worst case scenario, you have an Athanasiou one-off, if you think about it like that. And that's a guy who can generate instant offense for 5,200 at a pretty reasonable ownership, no less. So what I might do is just put Athanasiou on line 1 in FC and put Archibald, maybe X Archibald off, 2,800. I actually haven't looked at his ownership. Yeah, I mean, Archibald could get there. He could get there not playing with McDavid. It's hockey. Things happen. He's not a good player, and he's 2,800, and it's kind of like the Nemestikov thing, but I think Archibald is significantly worse. So not sure if he's going to be on the line, plus he's owned. Not on a power play. He could just very well be like a dead play tonight. So that's a guy I'm looking to get away from. I think you can do that if you make that manual swap in Athanasiou. So that's something I'm considering doing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it 100%, but it's at least worth doing in some of your lineups in the hopes that they get back together. Now, Edmonton power play stack looks pretty good. I wouldn't be hating on Archibald. He's looked good with McDavid. I mean, he's not sticking with McDavid, I think, is the more important part. Like, he's there, and then he's not there, and then he is, and then it's Chase on, and then it's, whoever. So, what percent of your lineups are likely to have a slot going against your goalie? Hard to say what actual percentage. I think I'm going to allow at least one. You could probably make a case for 2 on a 2-game slate. Especially like if it's against Bernier. If Detroit wins 2-1, but McDavid and Landeskog put a bunch of shots on net, you could see how those two guys have good games. Bernier gets the win. He would probably be having a pretty big game as well. Could be possibly the highest scoring goalie. So the slate could break right where it's 2+ players against your goalie. I'm probably going to allow 1. That's what I ran my crunch with prior to the show. So I'm pretty comfortable with 1. If you're looking to differentiate your lineups, 2. Not sure if I would do 3, because then you're talking about like a full stack against your goalie. And while we've seen that win GPPs at times, not something I'm looking to replicate. So Edmonton power play looks pretty good. Nashville can't kill penalties. You got one of the top power plays in all the NHL in Edmonton. Just stacked top unit. Is it going to be Bear or Nurse? I'll check on that after the show, but I think this is correct. I think Ethan Bear was on it last game. I could be incorrect. In fact, I could probably just check this while I talk. On the last game. Now, Edmonton 2 is probably my favorite full stack, unless you're going to go McDavid, Athanasiou, and Ennis, which is certainly a possibility, something I'm toying with a little bit in my builds tonight. The Nashville side, just a cluster. They're gonna, like, all these 4 lines are gonna play. I don't know in which order they're going to be deployed. I don't think they're gonna really hard match or anything. They probably like to get Johansson going up against McDavid for a little bit, but Edmonton looks like they got a deeper top 6 than what they've had in recent years, getting Athanasiou, Ennis, having a quality second line right now. So it's hard to say who's going to go up against who. Now, Nashville's 4th line, I guess we'll call it the 4th line. They're listed as the 4th line. They're not a 4th line on any team. I think they played 15 minutes last game. Oh, it was Nurse. It was Nurse last game. Okay. So if they haven't skated, maybe you want to make that change. You saw, this morning? Okay. I didn't see if they skated this morning. Sure. I'll check that. Archibald passed the eye test. Yeah, I mean, I'm, like I always say, I'm certainly not the best judge of talent. So I try to leave that to the experts. So I mean, maybe he looked good with him. I'm not exactly sure. I'm just seeing that he does get kicked off that line a lot, and that's a little bit concerning, because people are going to jam in. Oh yeah, he's playing with McDavid, but who knows if that's actually going to be the case for even close to the duration of the actual game. Guy telling us how to win. I'm not telling you. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you how to win. Like, not everyone can win, but I mean, I'm not a good judge of, like, actual hockey intel. So that's what I mean by that. I don't know. I like playing DFS. Nashville 4, back to them. They're just not a 4th line, and they're listed as the 4th line. So, like, some people will just completely disregard them. That's probably a mistake. I think that is just straight up that's a mistake. So, looking at lines with 100 minutes this season together, they are still in the top 10 in expected goals for per 60. They have 350 plus minutes, and they're top 10 by some of our favorite lines. Just below the Svechnikov, Aho, Teravainen trio, Hall, Dvorak, Garland. They're above Malkin, Russ, Gensel. That was one of our favorite lines for a while there. Stamkos, Point, Kucherov. They're above them in expected goals on the site that I'm looking at. Matthews, Hyman, Marner. Like, they're just generating at such a ridiculous rate that you can't call them a 4th line. And they're at home. They're going to go up against probably the Edmonton depth. I would say they probably see some time against the top 2 lines for Edmonton. But I hope they deploy them like a 4th line and they go up against Edmonton 3 and 4, because those are some borderline NHL players, to kind of put it lightly. So I love this quote-unquote Nashville 4th line. You can 2-man it. Bonino, Smith, Grimaldi, Smith. I like Craig Smith the best, but you can full stack that. If you're doing 3-3s, might be a good full stack to mix in. We're showing let's see. Very little ownership for Smith, and he's on the top power play. So I really like it. The rest of the Nashville lines are tough to kind of gauge. I know the Duchesne, Arvidsson, Yarncroc line has pretty good numbers, and then you got Turris, Forsberg, and Granlund all on the top power play. So there's things to like about all these lines, but just wanted to make sure we pointed out Nashville 4 because that they're too good of a line to be considered a fourth line. And then you got Yossi at 7K, Ryan Ellis 6K, maybe a night for a double defenseman stack on a short slate. If you can fit those two guys in for 13K, I know that's expensive, but they're two really good plays. And it looks like Ellis does go under owned quite a bit. Tonight he's not. And then Yossi probably going to be the chalkiest defenseman on the slate according to our ownership projections. Edmonton bad PK. Let me check on this. Edmonton is at, I mean, percentage, if you just look at percentage wise, they're at 84%. That's second best in the NHL. They have their bottom 10 in time shorthanded, so they do a good job. They do a good job taking a few penalties and killing them off. So I would say you're probably not playing, you're not expecting a lot of power play goals here for Nashville in the median outcome. But Yossi is a stud, and he's 7K, and I'm still getting to a ton of him. So Yossi's been a little bit better the last couple games. Nashville PP fade. Yeah, I mean, it's not a good power play spot. But who's to say they can't score a goal on the power play? That wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world. So I think I prefer the Edmonton side a little bit better. We just kind of know where their scoring is going to come from more often than not. On the Nashville side, there's definitely things to like, mainly their top two defensemen, and then this Bonino line. I like Forsberg as a one-off at 5,700. I like Arvidsson at 4,600 for a one-off as well. Jose could score 2 at 5. Oh, you mean Yossi? Yossi could score 2 at 5-on-5. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Yossi's fantastic. I need to recrunch with Nurse on that top power play. So good catch by whoever that was, because that's gonna change some of my exposures. I don't think Nurse is gonna be that popular tonight. I know we've got him pretty high, but if he's gonna be listed on the second unit and people are gonna use that, you're not gonna get to a ton of Nurse with Yamamoto, or I'm sorry, with Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, McDavid. So you might get a weird combo, or a less owned combo. Getting the lines right is a big part of the battle just in NHL DFS, and people don't do that. People are playing other sports. They don't know where to get the line info from, and it's just Twitter. But Vots has a great list. If you guys want to follow that, just go to Vots' Twitter. We also have Premium Slack. That's a great place to get acquainted with line rushes. Tonight it is a little bit later of a lock. 7:30 Eastern is lock. That means at about 7 Eastern, 7:05, 7:10 Eastern, somewhere in there, you'll see the Avs lines. You'll see the Detroit Red Wings lines, and especially on slates like tomorrow where we've got a big bunch of games, you just have to get those line combinations right. You just have to. I think that's really all I got in this game. I really do. This is the game that's going to decide the slate, and probably the McKinnon line. Like McKinnon's going to be so popular. If you don't have him and he scores a goal, it's going to be really tough to win something tonight. And you can fit in like McKinnon lineups with McDavid and Ennis, Draisaitl, Nugent. Like the pricing is pretty soft, so that's a good thing. People can make mistakes with price and with ownership now. So I learned from Brick, one of Brick's YouTube videos, that I was always thinking that you want hard pricing because it's harder. Like if you're a better player, you should be better at filling out lineups with harder pricing. But just take advantage of the soft pricing. And I like the stars and scrubs approach tonight. That's why I'm looking at lines like Nashville 4 and Colorado 3, because there's certainly ways to get value with the forwards. There's a bunch of good defensemen for this being a small slate. Yossi Ellis, Nurse, if he's going to be on the top power play, Kel McCarr. A lot of my lineups will have at least one of those guys. Getting to any Larkin one-offs, yeah, I'll get to a bunch of Larkin one-offs. He's my highest owned guy right now of the Detroit side. I'm basically, we had him at right at where I've got him. If the slate started right now. Right, Nashville 4 they're not scrubs. That's perfect. I wish they listed all the good lines as the fourth line on the lineup sites. That'd be fantastic. But it's just because how spread out Nashville is. Like, it's usually Arvidsson, Forsberg, and Johansson. Turris was a fourth liner a few weeks ago. But now you've got your top line center, Johansson, with Blackwell and Colton Sissons, and that's not a top line. It's just going to be a really spread out approach for Nashville. They're looking to get some depth, it appears, but good to see that they kept the Bonino line together after getting away from it from a couple games. All right, I think that's it for the games tonight. If you guys want to check out the projections, I will probably update these one more time if need be. Just updated them about an hour or two ago. So go check those out. Cheat sheets are up on the site. We will have power plays for tomorrow. It'll be Cliffy. Need to see how many games we got tomorrow. It's going to be Nolan and I know that. Nolan and I for the 10-game slate. Wednesday, we've got 4. That'll be pretty good. 4 on Wednesday, rivalry night. Hoping we got a doubleheader that night. And then Thursday, same deal, 10 games. Friday, 6 games. So this is the only dud we've got for today. Go Wings, fire Blashill. Spoken like a true Red Wings fan. Yeah, I couldn't say I would not feel the same way if I was a Red Wings fan. Just as a fan of DFS, too, this guy. I mean, talk about making some bad calls. Shout out to Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. This is a good call. Use promo code Awesemo to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points when you make your initial deposit. Go play some NBA. They've got NHL contests as well. Great place to start grinding out your bankroll. And no matter what sites you're playing on already, you're not going to really beat the 12% management fees compared to 16% elsewhere. You're just saving money. Or making more money is a better way to put it. Golf, this locks Thursday, very early morning, especially if you're on the West Coast. That's, for some people, that's still Wednesday night. But go check it out. Go play on Yahoo. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm sure a lot of you are already, but if you're not, hit the bell in the corner to make sure you know when we're going live. There will be NBA shows for tonight. It'll be the deep dive and then live before lock. Make sure you're following so you get some push notifications to your cellular device. And then please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or CastBox, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. We would like you to subscribe there, and then on Apple Podcasts, especially if you guys could rate and review us. That would be fantastic. Fantastic. Helps us out a ton. And you have a chance, if you do leave your username or Twitter handle, some way for us to contact you, if you leave a review and give us a 5-star rating, you have a chance to win a free Awesemo Plus monthly pass. We still got that promotion going on. So a couple seconds of your time and maybe a chance for you to listen to us on another platform. Anyways, I'll be back for tomorrow. Nolan will join me. It'll be a good slate. Hopefully we'll get to review some of your guys' winning lineups. Good luck tonight, guys.